The New England Patriots earned the upset victory in week 1 through solid running. Are they going to have the same approach in week 2? Stick around. You're about to be locked into the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage and also your first listen each and every day. Remember, Locked On Patriots is not only free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, so smash that subscribe button and download, follow wherever you get your podcasts to ensure you're getting the latest episode as soon as it's available. But we are also a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Athlon Sports. So reach out to me and let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some love to Locked On Patriots social media style, please follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to, and they help you do it faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. And Pats fans, it is week 2 of the 2024 NFL season, and that means it's time for your New England Patriots to host the Seattle Seahawks this Sunday, September 15th at Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts, 1 p.m. kickoff. And it is the New England Patriots home opener. A lot of excitement in the air. And if people are excited in Foxborough, they're about to be even more excited by our guest today on Locked On Patriots. Here to lend his wisdom, his counsel, and of course, the keys to victory that only he can cut is our good friend, a legend himself, Thomas Murphy. Thank you for coming to me in friendship today and for lending your monster keys, Don Murph.
Oh, happy to be here. Happy to be here. Just hope to help the ball club, man. And yeah, we got some keys to turn.
We
got
do,
some
Murph.
keys to turn. I had the laser cutter out. I had the plasma cutter out this week because I want this team to get to 2-0.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think it is within striking distance for the New England Patriots to get to 2-0. Murph is going to tell us how to get there because, Murph, we all need a man who has powerful friends. We need $1 million in cash. We need, Don Murph, those monster keys to victory that you carry in your pocket like so many nickels and dimes. And in that vein, bud, we have to pull upon your wisdom, your counsel, your reason to get to the monster keys to victory. Now, last week against the Cincinnati Bengals, the New England Patriots employed a solid rushing attack.
Yep.
They used that run to be able to facilitate limited play action, short routes, to play behind what was a makeshift offensive line.
Yep.
And they did it with excellent defense and very timely special teams play. Now, that's a pretty good formula, but we all know that from week to week, things change. And the Seattle Seahawks undoubtedly saw what the New England Patriots did last week, and they're going to try to marginally disrupt what the Pats did last week. In your infinite wisdom, my friend, in your monster keys to victory, guide us through the process of what the New England Patriots need to do to gain the victory over the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, first of all, they've got to sell out. They need to sell out this week. Stopping the Seattle run game is priority number one for DeMarcus and company. I know it's crazy to say, you've got DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Tyler Lockett. How old is Tyler Lockett? Seems like I've been cutting keys about Tyler Lockett for more than a decade and a half now.
Our good friend Paul Perillo of Patriots.com called him criminally underrated this week.
Yeah.
I think he's right on the money.
Yep.
Tyler is such a good receiver, never gets the proper credit that he deserves at the national level, but he is someone you have to account for on every snap, everywhere on the field. He can beat you in a number of different ways.
He sure can. And that's what makes this key a little confusing to some people. But I can't not see the forest for the trees. Okay. And Kenneth Walker the third is the big tree here. okay, up there in the Pacific Northwest. He's the big tree. Luckily, they're coming east, but he's still that big tree. He's that redwood. He put on one hell of a show last week. He's a little banged up right now, but if he's a go, he's the man that you have to stop. Do not let this man beat you.
Yeah, without question. And Ken Walker is someone that my good friend and colleague here on the Locked On Podcast Network, Corbin K. Smith, host of Locked On Seahawks, talked about and said that a lot of what Seattle does offensively runs through Kenneth Walker. And
Yep.
it really reminded me of what the Patriots do on offense with Ramondre Stevenson. They use him as the catalyst in help building a solid offense and a solid game plan and a solid attack. Look, if he can't make it, you're all of a sudden putting an awful lot of pressure now. If you're the Seahawks on Zach Charbonnet, you're putting it on Kenny McIntosh.
Yep.
They're the only other running backs on the roster. So automatically that takes your trio down to 2, and it really lessens that depth chart. That could be an issue, and that could be where the New England Patriots could take advantage of the situation, because don't forget, right tackle George Fant is also doubtful right now with a knee injury.
Right.
He's a big part of being able to spring that running game for Seattle. So if he's unable to go and Ken Walker's unable to go, you have to think that Patriots front seven is going to be licking its chops trying to get after Geno Smith, or at least marginally disrupt what
Right.
the Seahawks team does offensively.
That without a doubt. I have full credit in Brian Belichick. Yes, there's still a Belichick here in town. We'll have his DBs ready for the aforementioned wide receivers that we were talking about. But the trench is where this game is going to be won. Okay, set the damn edge. Okay, and I am talking to you, Mr. White, who has been glorified and held up for the entire world to see this week. Even he played so well last week, they even drug tested the man.
True, they did.
But listen, superstars do not live by pass pressure alone and getting to that quarterback. You've got to be able to set the edge. You want to replace Matthew Judon in the lexicon here, you need to set the edge and be better against the run. Last week, he was not great, folks. He was not great when it came to being run at. He needs to shed those blocks and get that running back to the ground.
I think that's exactly right. Keon is definitely going to zero in on using that aggressiveness that he used against the Bengals. I think that's a smart course of action against what is going to be a banged up offensive line. Corbin also talked about, can the offensive line show up? Which one's going to show up? Are they going to be able to stop the Patriots front seven? Yeah, in a lot of regards, I really think that's going to be an issue. But what may be even more intriguing, and you touched upon this in your Monster Keys, Murph, how's DeMarcus Covington going to handle this trio of pass catchers that the Seattle Seahawks have? Because the Cincinnati Bengals pass catching unit was severely banged up last week, marginally disrupted, as I like to say. It's not the case with Seattle this week. You're looking at Tyler Lockett, you're looking at DK Metcalf, and Jackson Smith-Njigba. This is a trio that really has the capability of matching up well with this secondary. Logic would think that Christian is probably going to get DK. I think he's the only one that has the size to be able to match up with him man on man. Jonathan Jones, Tyler Lockett, that's a match that I think everyone sees coming. And that's going to be interesting. And then, of course, JSN is going to end up probably drawing Marcus Jones. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this New England Patriots secondary match up against this trio. I think that could be one of the more intriguing options that we see on Sunday.
Yeah, or will it be Gonzalez over on the number 2 on Jackson Smith-Njigba and double teaming Junior with coverage over the top? They could go that way too. It also looks a lot Belichickian.
Very, very Belichickian.
Very Belichickian.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And but what are you going to do? That's how these guys were brought up. But I'll tell you what, we talked about nickels and dimes over the past 5 minutes. Michael mentioned it a little bit. Me playing my nickels and dimes. I expect to see DeMarcus Covington playing with nickels and dimes this weekend as well, and mixing up his coverages. I don't think last week I called for quarters coverages. I don't think they're going to get that with the full scale of Seattle's pass catchers being on the field. I'm not sure that quarters coverage will cover that. I expect to see a lot of man mixed in there. But yeah, we'll see our nickels and dimes thrown out there as well. And the thing is, you're not going to confuse Geno Smith.
Right.
Okay, it's just not going to happen. We're not talking about rookies here. We're not talking about second-year guys. Geno Smith has seen it all. He's been in this league for a very long time. As a starter, as a backup, he's run scout teams. He knows what's coming. And one of the advantages that the Patriots have right now is there are wrinkles that have been added and talked about this week by men in that room that maybe Seattle hasn't seen yet on the defensive side of the ball. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Geno Smith, and I'm glad you mentioned the unlikelihood that he'll be fooled by anything that he sees. He has been in the league
Right.
a long time. Now, the Patriots are definitely going to try to counter that. You know they're going to try to
Sure.
show him a wrinkle. That's another Belichickian page out of the Mayoian, I don't know, is Mayoian a word? Let's make it a word. Out of the Mayoian playbook that's being run right now in New England. But at the same time, Smith is also someone that can extend plays with his legs.
Right.
He can make plays with his legs. He scrambled for 34 yards and a touchdown last week against the Denver Broncos. Like Jacoby, he's got the ability, he's got solid mobility, and that will help him avoid pressure in the pocket. So if they're going to try to hang their hat on the Geno Smith train to try to get this offense in gear, DeMarcus has got to have a way to be able to counter it. Is it with a strong showing up front, or is it with this secondary making plays and really kind of locking down his targets and keeping guys at bay? And don't forget the safeties, folks. Kyle Duggar has been limited in practice all week long with an ankle injury. He's questionable.
Right.
I'm a betting man. I still think there's a chance that he suits up. I don't think he's going to sit this one out. But does that mean now that a guy like Noah Fant has a cleaner opportunity to maybe get some receptions? This could mean a big game for Jalen Hawkins. And I think Jabril Peppers comes in and chips in here as well. So it's going to take a solid effort on the defensive side of the ball, and it's definitely one of the major monster keys to victory. But one of the big questions in New England all week long is, can the offensive line, who surprised a lot of people in week one, do the same in week two? Can they continue to exceed expectations and help not only protect the quarterback, but also spring forward what has been a strong running game? This is a major monster key that Murph is adamant needs to be turned. How does it get turned? The man himself is going to reveal that in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team to help you do it faster. Here's the best part, folks. They help you do it for free, because LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. And on LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Listen up, Locked On listeners. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, listen up, because you're going to love this. We have something a little different for you. Now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. And if that's not enough, be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's Double Your Winnings for all of Sunday, September 15th, pregame moneyline bets. Profit Boost will be live starting Thursday, September 12th. View your account page now to learn more about your boost. And just visit FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. Locked On listeners, thank you so much for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots and for making us your first listen each and every day. And a special tip of the cap to all of you everydayers out there, those of you who continue to make Locked On Patriots possible. So honored and humbled by your support. And of course, if you've made Locked On Patriots your first listen each and every day, don't forget to make your second listen our good friends over at Locked On NFL. All the major storylines across the shield brought to you by each and every one of the great network of analysts that we have right here on the NFL channel on the Locked On Podcast Network. Locked On NFL, just like Locked On Patriots, is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today, folks, we are breaking down your team, your favorite team in Foxborough, by bringing you the only set of monster keys to victory that you need in Patriots media. And they are cut by my good friend, the legend himself, the Count of Murphy Fisto, my good friend Thomas Murphy. And Murph, the previous segment, we went defensive heavy on the monster keys to victory. And we talked about the game plan that DeMarcus Covington may employ. We talked about the offensive challenges that the Seattle Seahawks present. But we all know that if the Patriots are going to win this game, they're going to need output on offense. And my take is that they're going to need more than 16 points to do it. If they're going to, they need solid contributions from the running game.
Yep.
They need to improve their passing game. And they really need a solid effort, a stellar effort from their offensive line. While you were cutting your monster keys this week, do you see elements that allow you to believe that this New England Patriots team can do it again for the second week in a row?
I do. I love the way the interior of this offensive line bullied a very stout Cincinnati Bengals defensive line. This game is going to be one in the trenches, like I said before, and on both sides of the ball. I want to see Ramondre get involved early and often and run the inside. Okay, pound the inside, allow him to get to the second level, break a tackle or two, move the chains that way. I'm not saying to abandon the outside run. It's just it's not going to be a focal point this week. All right, it should not be a focal point this week. The Seattle defense that McDaniel has put together is one that's very fast, filled with playmakers and guys that like to get downhill and hit really hard. And I think exploiting the interior of their defensive line is going to be paramount. They're going to have to get into second and short situations, third and short situations to be able to turn that key that I cut every single week, own third down. Okay, I would like to see them mix it up a little bit. Maybe get a little further into the depth chart, and we could possibly see a little Jermichael Hasty this weekend. I know he's listed as questionable right now, but Antonio Gibson can also catch the ball out of the backfield. Keep them guessing, but bully it up front, run it up the gut, for lack of a better terms. I'm sorry, folks. I know you guys want to see more excitement. You were promised more excitement all off season, but let's go for number 2 here and let's play it smart.
Absolutely. And I think the Patriots will play it smart. And look, I think you bring up a very, very good point about bullying from the inside. The Patriots are going to need to do that. And that task may be a little bit easier this week because linebacker Tyrell Dodson, Jerome Baker, they may not end up suiting up for this game, either one or both. Both are listed as questionable right now for this team. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens over the course of Saturday and right up to Sunday when inactives are announced, whether or not either Baker or Dotson or both end up on the shelf. If that's the case, that's going to put an awful lot of pressure on Jonathan Hankins and Leonard Williams up front. These guys were very good against Denver last week. They really gave Bo Nix a lot of difficulty, trying to find a comfort zone. They held the Broncos to 20 carries for only 64 yards. That's excluding, Nix kind of getting out and scrambling a little bit. But bottom line, this team right now could be ripe for the pickings if the Patriots play their game smart. So if they get a solid effort from the interior of that offensive line, it may help to take pressure off tackles right now. That could be a problem. If the Patriots can play solid on the interior, maybe that might help to mitigate some of the problems they have on the left side. Something also to watch, that interior probably going to be manned again by one Michael Jordan. No relation to his airness, folks.
Oh.
City So out once again. He is officially out for this game with an ankle injury. Murph, you and I talk a little bit about this offline on a regular basis,
Right.
and we did so all throughout the week. Not a big surprise that City is not going here.
No.
Probably want to rest this kid, make sure he's ready for
That's it.
subsequent weeks. The Patriots played relatively well last week without him, so I think they're looking at this game as an opportunity to give him an additional week's worth of rest.
I agree. I've said on many occasions we're probably not going to see him until week 4. It makes absolutely no sense to rush a big man back on an ankle like this. It's not something that heals overnight, and week 4 is a best case scenario in my estimation.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I'm
I
not a
completely,
doctor. I don't play one on TV. I'm just a big round guy that's had ankle problems.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Sometimes that intuition is as valuable as any that you'll find because you've been there before. You know what that's like. And I'm in agreement with you. I think they're taking the right approach on City, and I think they will continue to do so. Layden Robinson, questionable for this game, folks, with a shoulder injury, but he was a full participant on
Yep.
Friday, so I wouldn't read too much into that. We did get a chance to talk to Layden earlier this week through the media, so that's always a good sign. I'd look for him to suit up, and boy, they're going to need him on that right side alongside Michael Wenu. I think that is going to be, once again, the strong suit of this offensive line, and look for Ramondre Stevenson along with the blockers up front to try to get that right side going, and they can start making things happen in the running game. But Murph, one of the things about this passing game that we keep hearing all week, and our good mutual friend Steve Balistrieri joined me earlier this week, and we talked about the need for the passing game to increase and for them to take more shots down the field. Seattle employs one of the best secondaries in the league.
Yep.
I mean, you saw what Devin Witherspoon and Reek Woolen did against the Denver Broncos last week. 34 yards allowed, 1 interception, 2
Yep.
forced incompletions, and a 14.6 passer rating allowed. That's a hell of a day for a secondary. Right. And they're not just cornerback deep. This team is also safety deep.
Yep.
Julian Love is somebody that can get in there and make things happen. This is a very good secondary that can make life difficult on Jacoby Brissett. Is this the week that the Patriots really want to try to push downfield, knowing that secondary, the problems they're having on the offensive line, or do you see them once again using the short game to try to keep Jacoby healthy, first of all, and also to try to advance the ball for the run game to get going?
Yeah, not to totally cop out here, but yeah, they're going to have to take their shots downfield, but it doesn't have to be a focal point. Okay.
Good point.
If you're going to want to open things up for those guys underneath, you're going to need to stretch the field. Let Tyquan Thornton. I mean, last week the play out of at a halftime was unsuccessful on paper, but it made Cincinnati think. It gave them pause. They knew that this was going to happen. All right. It forced the Bengals to respect the deep ball, and the Patriots are going to have to do that again if they're going to, turn the key that I think is going to be paramount in this win tomorrow, and that's more pop, more better. Pop Douglas was really ignored last week. Okay, he was I'm not sure. I don't think that was the plan. But Brissett was a little nervous in the pocket. You wouldn't know it to look at it at first time, but he was taking his first read almost on every play. Okay. This week I want Pop Douglas to be that first read a lot more often. And when he isn't option A, Jalen Polk needs to. But to be able to do that, they're going to have to clear out the middle of the field to allow them to make these catches, make contested catches. And that's the other thing. I really want to see Brissett trust these guys to make those contested catches. They were NFL open last week. A lot of people said there wasn't a lot of separation. They were NFL open last week. Get the ball to these guys. I know Jacoby doesn't have the quickest release in the NFL, but no, he's not Dan Marino back there when it comes to getting rid of the ball. So let these guys get into a slight pattern and then go get me that yak that I really love. But they're gonna have to take those shots downfield. Steve is right about that. Just 2 or 3, just to keep these, as we talked about, these safeties, thinking in the back of their heads that wow, there goes Taekwon. I've really got to double up on that, man. Otherwise, he could end up burning us quick.
Absolutely. Again, another mutual friend of ours, Phil Perry of NBC Sports Boston, wrote about that early on this week and said it's time to unleash Pop. And I
Yep.
do agree with you. I think this is an opportunity for him to showcase what he can do. And I think Jacoby would be smart to do that. Murph, before we take our leave of this subject, I have to ask you the question that I've been waiting to ask you all week long. Caden Wallace last week, utilized as an extra lineman on 18 snaps.
Claire Cooper ordered a Caden Wallace jersey this week.
Absolutely. You got to love that. You know,
Yeah.
tight endage all over the place, and nothing Claire loves more than tight endage. But bottom line, when you look at how the Patriots employed Caden last week, do you think we could see something similar to what they're doing this week? Or do you think that was essentially a way for them to be able to navigate against Cincinnati's defense?
No, I really do think that they're going to utilize him again in the same way. Not a lot, but he'll get mixed in a little bit because unfortunately they have to. Okay, they need that extra tackle out there. You know, go out there. You know, I'm eligible. And that was the thing. Everybody talked about the brilliance of that plan. It was in Mayo's back pocket, and I'm glad it was there.
Mhm.
Okay, but he pulled that out because things stopped working.
Right.
All right, and you
Absolutely.
had to go that way. That outside stretch run was not working in the way that they had hoped, because quite frankly, they don't have the horses. They've got ponies. Okay, and until we get some horses at the tackle position, especially on the left-hand side, they're going to have to do that. They're going to
Yeah.
have to do that. And so yeah, I think we will see a little bit more of it. Um, I think the Patriots got a little happy in the press conference afterwards, especially Jacoby, in saying that we lined up that way. Everybody knew what we were going to do, and they weren't able to stop us. So yeah, I think that the Patriots have it in their head that that's the way to go, and we're going to end up seeing more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it worked down the stretch.
Yep.
You look at what happened with Ramondre Stevenson in the
Yep.
closing minutes. Final 8 plays, he got the ball on 7 of them, excluding the kneel downs. So the Patriots are going to be going back to that well. If it runs dry, that's where they're going to have to get inventive. But if it continues to yield a pretty good return, then I think the Patriots go that again. So thank you for your infinite wisdom and your expertise when it comes to a subject like that, especially the O-line done, Murph. Folks, as I love to say here on Locked On Patriots and do several times per week, as the late, great Gorilla Monsoon Murph would say, the time for the talk is just about over, and we are ready to bring you up to kickoff on Sunday, September 15th, Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts, as the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots get ready to do battle in Week 2, the New England Patriots home opener. Before we do so, the man who defines the word every day are here on Locked On Patriots, our good friend LJ at show_1. Murph, we teased about it earlier this week about doing a Monster Keys mailbag mashup with Mike and Murph. And this was the question of the week, but I really want to give a tip of the cap to LJ, who asked multiple questions on the offensive line all week long, really honing in on City So, Layden Robinson, whether or not we were going to see Caden Wallace take additional snaps as a blocker. These are the types of things we love to see. So, LJ, thank you for this segment, and we always appreciate that. And once again, folks, please continue to send in your questions each and every day, whether there's a mail call or not. Murph and I always go through the mailbag, and who knows, maybe you'll get a segment dedicated to you, just like LJ did here today. But bottom line, bud, we are ready to offer our game predictions and maybe a little something extra on what to watch for when the Pats and the Seahawks hook up this Sunday at Gillette in Week 2. Bringing it all home for you in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Listen up, Locked On listeners. Football is back, and there's never been a better time to use PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike those other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And here's something I know you're going to love. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. That's right. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, your picks are still live with PrizePicks. And my favorite thing about PrizePicks is they put their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. So don't delay, do it today. Download the PrizePicks app and use the code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots, getting you ready for kickoff and a Week 2 matchup Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. The Patriots hosting the Seattle Seahawks in their home opener. The Pats come at this 1-0. They're looking to go 2-0. But guess what, folks? So are the Seattle Seahawks. They would like nothing more than to ruin the Patriots' homecoming. Already, our good friend, the legend himself, Thomas Murphy, has lent his monster keys to victory, and I think laid out a very clear path on how the Patriots can bring home win number 2 in as many weeks. Murph, how do you see this one shaking out? Do the Patriots make it 2 in a row on Sunday?
If they can turn the keys that they turned last week, yes, they can. But I mean, what they did last week was they turned every weekly. Okay, they turned every one of the weekly keys that I lay out. You know, that I cut. Limit the laundry. They didn't get a lot of penalties. They didn't end up playing behind the chains. Win the turnover battle. That will not be as easy this week as it was last week. Believe me. Owning third down again. They're going to have to get it into second and third and short to be able to do this. They owned third down on both sides of the ball last week, but less than 50% is not going to be enough. Own the red zone. All right. This is probably one that they didn't turn all the way last week. They were able to kick field goals, but they didn't get sixes. I want sixes, not threes this week. And of course, you know, flip the field. Bryce Behringer was fantastic last week. I expect nothing less of him this week. If they can do those things, if they can keep it the way that you know, play within themselves, not get stupid, they should be able to go 2-0. I think it's going to be another low-scoring game on both sides of the ball. These are two fantastic defenses, and I see the Patriots winning this game 17-13.
Ooh, interesting final score prediction. I predicted earlier that if the Patriots were going to win this, it was going to take more than the 16 that they put up against Cincinnati. And you did get it by 1, and I will say that. Again, I think if the New England Patriots are to make it 2 in a row, which I do think is a distinct possibility, first of all, they do have to establish the run once again. I know it is repetitive. I know it's something that they've done. I know it's something that everyone's expecting, but it is a key in what Alex Van Pelt loves to do. And it's such a big part of the way this team is going to be able to attack a Seattle defense right now that I think could be primed to be hit when it comes to the running backs.
Right.
You know, we love to quote Godfather quotes here, Murph. You know, they hit us, so we hit them back. I think right now that's where they're vulnerable. That's where the New England Patriots are going to try to attack. And if they do that, they can find traction with Ramondre Stevenson. They can find traction with Antonio Gibson. Michael Hasty, like you said before, a little banged up. Maybe he goes, maybe he doesn't. But if that's the case, Patriots still have a good 1-2 combination. And Kevin Harris is still on this roster, folks. He is a member of their practice squad. So keep a sharp eye. Michael Jordan will probably be one of the elevations. Maybe the Patriots make Kevin Harris.
We hit Bruno Tattaglia at 1 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah. Bruno cancels out what they did to my father.
Right.
What do you say? Bada beep, bada bop, bada boop, bada beep. But again, with establishing the run comes controlling the line of scrimmage. And they did that last week to a T. They did it to perfection. I think they'll have a little bit more of a difficult time doing it against Seattle than they did against Cincinnati. I think Seattle is going to be ready for them to try to do that. So the Patriots may have to get inventive a little bit in their methods of being able to win this game in the trenches. And once again, it's always a monster key, folks. It's always a must-have. It's always something that we talk about on our crossovers each and every week. Patriots need to force and they need to capitalize on turnovers. They
Yep.
did that well against the Cincinnati Bengals. Can they force this Seattle team into a mistake and turn the tide and keep the momentum on their side? If they do that, you always have a puncher's chance to win this game. So I think the New England Patriots will take this game. I am picking them to win this. I have the Pats coming out on top 21-17 against this Seattle team. I think the Patriots are going to feel that home crowd a little bit. I think there's going to be a little more optimism in Foxborough than maybe we thought there was going to be 2 weeks ago. I think the Patriots ride that to a victory over the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday.
I don't agree.
And that is the spice of life, folks.
I don't
Variety
agree.
is the spice of life.
I don't
So-
think they're going to get that high. Nomacek does not believe that they're going to get the score there. But I do think they come out on top. Take the points, take the Pats and the under.
Interesting, folks. And definitely, when our good friend Thomas Murphy talks, he listens. He is the E.F. Hutton here of Locked On Patriots, of the Locked On Podcast Network. Whenever he talks, we're always listening. We stop what we're doing. We cup our ear. Folks, what are your thoughts? What are your game predictions? If you're watching this on YouTube, drop us a comment in the comments section below. Let us know your final score prediction. Maybe we'll share that on Monday when Murph and I are back here in action, breaking down all of the ins and outs, the ups and downs of the Week 2 matchup between the Pats and the Seattle Seahawks. And of course, if you're listening to this podcast and not viewing it on YouTube, you can always reach out and share your predictions on X at MDABATENFL, at LO_Patriots, or you can definitely tag Murph as well at TMurph207. Bud, what can I say? Thank you so much for coming along on the ride. We started off the week together. We closed the week together. What better way to bring you up to kickoff, folks, than with the wisdom, the counsel, and the monster keys of my good friend, Thomas Murphy. Before I let you go, my friend, please let everyone know where they can reach out to you, interact with you, and what you got marinating in Murph's kitchen between now and Monday when we welcome you back to the hot seat.
Nothing. I've got baseball. I've got double headers. On Saturday and Sunday. So do not tweet any scores to me on Sunday, please.
Absolutely, folks. As far as we're concerned, Murph is in the dark ages on Sunday. Until he returns home, he doesn't want to hear your scores. He doesn't want to hear your updates. He's going to turn off notifications. But fear not, folks, because our good friend, the Conor Murphy Fisto himself, will be back here on Monday, as will I, as we continue to break down all of the ins and outs, the ups and downs of whether it be a Patriots victory or a loss. It'll be a victory Monday or it'll be a melancholy Monday, but either way, we'll be back here to bring you the very latest from Foxborough. In the meantime, I would also like to thank once again my good friend, the Conor Murphy Fisto himself, the legendary Thomas Murphy, for joining me here on the microphone today. And of course, most importantly, we thank each and every one of you for all of the support you provide to Locked On Patriots each and every day, each and every week. You help make the show what it is, and we appreciate you more than words can say. And on that note, folks, I am Mike Debate, and on behalf of my good friend Thomas Murphy, we remind you to stay safe, to stay well, to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy the game on Sunday. If you're headed to Gillette, have a great time. Drive safe, enjoy the game responsibly, and make sure to get home safe as well. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here again next time on Locked On Patriots.